But it's not time to send you guys home. So let's hear what the word has to say. Oh gosh, but it's almost anticlimactic because you heard it all through the day. I just kept hearing everything all through the day. So let's just get more and more confirmation. Amen. The prophet Daniel thrived in every area of life. No matter what life threw at him, he was unshakable. And today we're going to learn from life principles on how to thrive no matter what happens to you. Daniel grew up in a nation that was shaken up by God. 2,600 years ago, the nation of Israel fell into immorality and injustice and idolatry. And foreseeing the doom awaiting the nation, the prophet Isaiah said to them, "You are doomed if you call evil good and call good evil. Destruction is certain when you call darkness light and light darkness. When right is considered wrong and what's wrong is considered right. And when you call what is bitter is now sweet and what is sweet is now called bitter." He prophesied that their corruption would lead to collapse, and it did. About 600 BC, Emperor Nebuchadnezzar of the Babylonian Empire invades Israel. He destroys many of their cities, and he takes 25% of the population as prisoners of war back to Babylon, and he kept them there for 70 years. When he came, it was a disaster. The Israelites lost their freedom because they were not paying attention to God. And the collapse of that culture shook everybody. Now this book is very relevant to us because we're living in a time where there's a lot of shakiness going on. Our government is shaken. I don't know why I keep watching CNN. Every time that man comes on, Lord, I know he's our president, but he shakes me. Because he scares me. I don't know what's going to come out of his mouth. Everything that comes out of his mouth just seems to shape the country and shape the world. So there's government shakeup. Some of us are going through relational shakeups. There's financial shakeups. There's physical things going on in some of our bodies that's making us feel shaky. So we're looking at Daniel today because even in the midst of all that happened to him, he continued to not only live, but to thrive. Hallelujah. In adversity. Here's what the first 7 verses of Daniel says. It says, "In the 3rd year of King Jehoiakim's reign in Judah, when King Nebuchadnezzar," this is Daniel 1, "of Babylon declared war on Jerusalem and besieged the city, the master handed King Jehoiakim of Judah over to them." I'm reading from the Message. "Along with some of the furnishings from the temple of God. Nebuchadnezzar took king and furnishings to the country of Babylon, the ancient Shinar, and he put the furnishings in the sacred treasure. The king told Ashpenaz, head of the palace staff, to get some Israelites from the royal family and nobility, young men who were healthy and handsome, intelligent and well-educated, good prospects for leadership positions in the government, perfect specimens, and indoctrinate them in the Babylonian language and the lore of magic and fortune-telling. The king then ordered that they be served from the same menu as the royal table, the best food, the finest wine. And after 3 years of training, they will be given positions in the king's court. 4 young men from Judah, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, were among those selected. And the head of the palace staff gave them Babylonian names. Daniel was named Belteshazzar, Hananiah was named Shadrach, and Mishael was named Meshach, and Azariah was named Abednego. And they put these young teenage boys through a 3-year cultural brainwashing program. What's going on here? The first thing we see happening to these young men is their identities are being changed. Not only have they been taken from their homeland, separated from their families, now they are changing their identities and making them Babylonian and not Jewish. They're shaking their foundations. They're destroying their emotional and ethnic foundations. They're saying to them, your old life is over. Now you're expected to be Babylonian. So much has changed for Daniel. But in spite of these huge challenges, let me pull back on his life and let you see what happened to him over the 70 years that he would be in Babylon. Did you know that he would grow into being one of the greatest prophets in the Bible, all while keeping his integrity and his faith in a hostile culture? He served and outlasted 3 different empires. He served under 2 Babylonian emperors. And when they were conquered by the Persians, Cyrus the Great killed off many Babylonians, but he saved Daniel. So he outlasts 3 administrations. He leads 2 of those emperors to faith in God, Nebuchadnezzar and Cyrus the Great. And both of them turned to God when they saw Daniel's life. He's an amazing man with an amazing story. And the central thing we're going to be looking at is, how do you land on your feet when your life is shaken? Because all of us are going to be touched by something. This morning, Allie was touched by something that was hurtful and harmful or has the potential to be destructive if we don't handle it right. The things that can touch you and shake you, what Alyssa went through with her family, a death, a divorce, a failure, a bankruptcy, a loss, a heartache, a sickness, a relational breakdown. There's 100 things that you are all going through that's rattling your cages. And it can make you fearful and anxious and angry and discouraged. But we're going to learn some things from the book of Daniel about what to do. And the first thing we're going to look at is, don't be surprised by adversity. When the nation Israel collapsed, it was a shock to everybody, but it wasn't unexpected. You see, the prophets Jeremiah and Zephaniah and others have been saying, we're going to lose our freedom, guys, if we don't change our ways and cut out the corruption and the idolatry. The Bible says in 1 Peter 4:12, dear friends, don't be shocked or surprised when you suffer through painful tests and trials as if something strange is happening to you. And 1 Peter 5:8 says, be careful. Watch out for attacks from Satan, your great enemy, because he prowls around like a hungry, roaring lion looking for some victim to tear apart. Now we know the devil never rests. Even when we get blessed, we mustn't get complacent, thinking the good times are always going to last forever without any issues raising their heads. I want you to really, really get this. Every blessing is a responsibility. I say this because when blessings happen, like a child is born, a couple get married, a job is offered, a promotion is given, a partnership is formed, and ministry starts. All these blessings, they start off wonderful. But every blessing is a responsibility. It does not go on automatic pilot. The marriage does not go on automatic pilot. The child does not raise itself. And things will start to happen on the job that you got and you prayed for. Every blessing is a responsibility. The child has to be watched and nurtured and provided for. Spouses have to commit to communicate with each other and put each other first, and that will be tested. That will be tested. Put each other first before others. The job is going to require energy and attention and time that may conflict with other things in your life. And then there are the bosses and the peers and their relationships and their attitudes and their issues to deal with. You start off with potential, everybody. but it's what you do with it. A lot of times we start off and we think, wow, this is perfect. I found the perfect guy, we found the perfect house, we're having a perfect baby. All of that is not perfect, it's potential. And it's what you do with potential that will make it great. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So don't be surprised. Because what you consider a blessing, the enemy sees it as a target. He sees it as a target. That's why he tells you, please continue to pray. Because what you consider is a blessing, the enemy considers it a target. Like your grandchild. He's a blessing. But the enemy says he's a target.
Right.
So, as a grandmother, when you know that he's both a blessing and a target, you have to be diligent in praying. I'm a year away from a time of devastation. This time last year, I was sitting in this church and I was crying because I had been shaken. My world got shaken. I had really thought that I was going to pass through the New York City Teaching Fellowship Program. Everything was going to be fine. And I had high hopes, and I thought, smooth sailing. I was passing through all the hurdles they were throwing at me. And so I thought, it's just going to be automatic pilot. I'm just going to continue being blessed in this direction, and it's just going to flow. But not so. We get to the end of the program, and the mentors that we have to give us final evaluations. And I was graded not sufficient. And I couldn't believe it. How could God let that happen to me after everything? There were tests we had to take and pay for. We had to go out on interviews. I got that. We had to get a job. I got that. I was given a verbal commitment. Yes, you can start working here in September. And I was like, wow, boom, 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 boom. Everything is falling into place. The only thing I had to do was pass those final evaluations. And then my life would be set as a teacher in the Board of Education. But the person responsible for giving me the evaluation, his heart turned against me. And he graded me insufficient. And I didn't pass, and I didn't get the job. And all that energy, all that time, all that money, all that putting my life on hold, everything fell apart, and I was shaken. That was a year ago. And I was devastated a year ago. It's August 2017. It was August 2016. And in August 2017, the Lord redeemed the situation. Amen. He gave me better. Better. I am more at peace. I have a better job. I'm not being aggravated by Bebe's kids. I don't have to go into more student loan debt.
Really? Amen.
I don't have to, in my 50s, go to a master's program 3 or 4 nights out of the week after a day with kids.
Thank you.
And I have benefits, I have pension, I have everything that I need. And I'm not aggravated.
Hallelujah.
Look at God.
That's
Look
right.
at God.
Yes.
These things would have been a burden to me had I gotten the job. The Lord knew I needed a lower pace, a slower pace.
He knows.
He knew I needed to get out of debt, not go more into debt.
Yes.
He knew what my energy level was. That I don't need to leave a school at 3:30 or 4 o'clock and then go to a master's program and get home at 10 o'clock and still have to do lesson plans and get up at 5 a.m. and leave. I don't need that at 52.
Exactly.
So, the Lord said, Florida, you may think you're going in the right direction, but I know what's best for you.
Amen.
So some of you here, you think you know what's best for you. Don't be surprised if something falls through that you've been putting your eye on. And you're like, God, how did you let this happen to me? I'll tell you why, because He loves you.
Amen.
Yes, amen.
He loves you.
Wow.
He knows.
He knows what's best for you.
Amen.
A famous athlete says that when things happen, don't be surprised, just be ready. When a shakeup happens, sometimes it's revealing areas of weakness and vulnerability, fear and insecurity. When a relationship gets shaken, when a job gets shaken, when something gets shaken, sometimes the shaking reveals things that were weak, that were going on in that situation. Things that were being ignored, things that were not being taken care of, things that were not being handled seriously. And so the shaking happens, and you're like, it's terrible that the shaking is happening. And God is saying, I needed you to stop being ignorant and resisting what the enemy was trying to do all along underneath.
Ooh. Hallelujah.
Underneath. He was planning destruction. And now that the shaking's happening, all that stuff is revealed. But it's not revealed for you to say, oh my God, look how horrible it is. It's revealed for a purpose. And that number one purpose is for you to do something about it. It's being revealed for you to do something about it. One of the things we have to do is look at our issues. When a shaking happens, yes, in my case, my shaking was that I was going in the wrong direction. And so the Lord shook me. He also let me see how I had put so much in this direction that I just couldn't figure out how it could be anything but this. And He got me to see that I have to be flexible. I have to be flexible with the Lord. I have to allow Him to flow in my life. And when He takes things, I have to trust Him. I have to say, Lord, I may not understand, but I'm not going to despair. Because I know that you have a plan for me. Do not despair. I say it again and again and again. In this world you will have troubles, but God said, I have overcome the world.
Lord.
So one of the things that I want you to do is not be surprised by adversity. And the second thing I want you to do is look and see if there's something you're doing that needs to be taken care of. You see, when a crisis happens, we typically look at where we can focus the blame on. Who did it? They wrong. He's wrong. She's wrong. We want to focus on the blame. But God says, take your eye off the blame and put it on solving the problem. You're wasting time by trying to say this person is wrong and that person is wrong, and you know that they got this for me, or they out to do this or that. No. What is it about me that I could do to make this a better situation? For years, I had a problem being late. I mean, really, really late. I mean, 9:15 was the time my train was pulling into the station I had to get out of. And you know, when you get into the station, you got to get out of that station. And then you got to walk a couple of blocks to the place. And then you got to stand on line to the elevator. And then you got to get upstairs and you got to go where the time card is. And then know what, I work hard, I do this and I do that. Therefore, don't look at the fact that I run up all the credit cards. Don't look at the fact that I look at other people when we in a committed relationship. Don't look at the fact that I do some gambling on the side. Because you see that spot over there, I'm a good. Look at that. Because I'm good over here. So that's how I was with my time. And because it wasn't important to me, I thought it shouldn't be important to anybody else. That's another thing we do when we get it wrong. We think that just because it's not important to me, it shouldn't be important to you. Well, that's not true. It's important. And when you don't take what's important to other people to heart, you hurt them. And saying, oh, I'm just kidding, doesn't work. I remember there was a guy at one of my jobs, and he would crack jokes on everybody. And his standard thing was, I'm just kidding. It wasn't important to him that it was hurting our feelings. You can't just do whatever you want to do without any accountability to anybody, going back to Lauren in her message last week. We're not only accountable to God, because the Word of God says to love Him with all our heart, mind, and soul, but we're also accountable to love others. Amen. I apologize for all the times I have hurt anybody in this church. There were times when things were important to you and I blew it off because it wasn't important to me. And vice versa. There are times when things are important to me and y'all are like, pass the floor, whatever. But we have to regularly clean our relationship because we're a family. So there are times when I step on your toes and vice versa. But don't you know that I recognize your family? Nobody can hurt me. Except you guys. And when we're out of favor with each other, don't think that even if I don't say it, that I don't sense it. Because you're all important to me. And I love you.
I love you too, Pastor.
I love you too, honey. So, we gotta regularly clean our relationship. That means confess to one another. Say, you know what, I blew it. I wasn't doing what I needed to do. There's something that's important to you. I wasn't giving it what it needed to be given, and I'm so sorry. Because we're all on the same team, guys. We're all on the same team. So we gotta look at our own issues. When a crisis happens, when a shakeup happens, what is there something I did to contribute to it? Because we can say, you know what? He left me. And you can go around all day long saying, he left me. Isn't that horrible? But what you don't say is, you were cheating with everybody. You wouldn't come home. You wouldn't cook. You wouldn't clean. You wouldn't give him the extra attention that he needs. You do all this stuff, and all you can say is, look what he did to me. And God is saying, not so. Look at numero uno. When a shakeup happens, there's something going on in all sides that could be better, and it's a forewarning for future things if you don't deal with those issues, okay? How are we doing on time?
150.
Okay. Maya Angelou said, you may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. In fact, it may be necessary to encounter those defeats so you can know who you are and what you can rise from, how you can still come out of it. And Bill Clinton said, if you live long enough, you're going to make mistakes. But if you learn from them, you'll be a better person. It's how you handle adversity, not how it affects you. The main thing is never quit, never quit, never quit. When Daniel realized his life was over back in Israel, the Bible doesn't say anything about how he spent a lot of time in depression and how horrible it all was and how he thought about what did they do, why would they do. It doesn't say anything about that. It clearly shows you that he concentrated, well, what am I going to do now? What can I do to make my life productive now? LL Cool J. Very wise. He said, when adversity strikes, that's when you have to be calm. Take a step back, stay strong, stay grounded, but press on. How much more time do you have?
120.
Okay, good. Thank you. They ran against there was another issue that came up, the issue of the food. The king wanted them to be fed by his standards, what he thought was good food. But these were young men who were raised on a kosher diet. And even though the Babylonian banquet probably was filled with a lot of luscious and delicious foods, it was not healthy for them. So let's read what Daniel says. It says here in verse 8, Daniel 1:8, Daniel was determined not to defile himself by eating the food and wine given to them by the king. And he asked the chief of staff for permission not to eat these unacceptable foods. Now God had given the chief of staff both respect and affection for Daniel. But the chief of staff responded and said, I am afraid of my lord the king, who has ordered that you eat this food and wine. If you become pale and thin compared to the other youths of your age, I'm afraid the king will have me beheaded. So Daniel spoke with the attendant appointed by the chief of staff. And he said, please test us for 10 days on a diet of vegetables and water. And at the end of the 10 days, see how we look compared to the other young men who are eating the king's food. Then make your decision in light of what you see. At the end of those 10 days, Daniel and the other 3 teenagers looked healthier and better nourished than the young men who had been eating the food that had been assigned to them. So after that, the attendant fed them only vegetables instead of the food and wine provided to the others. What I want to say here is the world will always want you to conform to its dominating culture. And this is particularly important to our young people who are going off to college, because they're going to come under attack. Remember, you guys are blessings, but you're also targets. Don't forget that. And things that may seem innocent to you, the enemy knows that every little innocent thing has a price tag on it and a string. And that string is going to pull you in a direction that may not necessarily be for your best. But you can't see that string. It's hidden. It's hidden behind whatever is the shining object that the enemy is going to try and put in front of you. His ultimate destiny for you is that you would curse God and die. But God's destiny for you is that you would be a city on a hill. So, count on it, young people. Something is going to come your way that may seem innocent, but is targeted for your destruction. Count on it. Don't be surprised, be alert. That's why, before the shiny object comes your way, decide on what's called some convictions. I loved listening to Carolyn Tucker this morning because she went on vacation and the Lord said, here are your convictions. Here are the things you're going to commit to. Here are the things I've told you that I want you to follow. And she began to tell us her convictions. I'm going to stay committed to Living Word Community Church. I'm going to serve under Pastor Benny Hurtado. I'm going to do whatever I need to do to make this church function better. Those are convictions. When I know I'm going to embarrass her, but when Alyssa and Asher got married, they stood up there and gave their vows to each other. And they gave convictions. They said their convictions. I'm going to love you. I'm going to watch over you. I'm going to be by your side. I'm going to enjoy life with you. And we're going to go through to the end. I'm paraphrasing, but those were their convictions. Things they're going to stand through, no matter what tests come their way. Don't you believe they haven't been tested? Because a blessing is a target. So they have to protect their blessing with their convictions. Now, this is not a perfect church, but Carolyn has convicted to it, like all of you. And when you convict to something, you're saying, though it's not perfect, and things will come, and things will go, and sometimes I'm ticked off, and sometimes this is happening, and that's happening, I'm still here. That's convictions. So, every one of you, especially our young people, decide on some convictions that are going to keep you when you go out into the world. Convictions that will keep you from being shaken, or when the shiny object reveals that, hey, there's more going on here than you thought. These are some convictions you can stand on. 2 Timothy 3:16 says, I will make the word of God the final authority in my life. Amen. Another conviction you can stand on, Matthew 6:33. I will love God and order my life around His priorities. A conviction for parents, Deuteronomy 6 and 7. I will treat my children as a gift from God, and I will seek to develop godly character in them. Romans 14:13. I will not weaken the godly conviction of others. That means look out for your brothers and sisters. If you see something going on, say something. Don't just say, you know what, that's not my business. For those of you who are married, Matthew 19:16. I will make my marriage a lifelong commitment to God and my mate. That's regardless of whether I'm still attracted to other people. I don't know why that kept coming up in my spirit, but it was like the Lord said, tell the church that even if you're still attracted to a whole lot of people, stay committed to your relationship. And don't just say, well, I go to work and bring home the check, so, I can do this over here. No. Your relationships are priority, and you want to always make them feel safe and secure. So even if you're still attracted to other people, choose to stay committed to your relationship. And I'll leave that there. Luke 16:11. My money is from God. I will earn it and manage it wisely. Galatians 6:1. I will put my life in harmony with God's word. And number 8. Regardless of whether no one else give God the glory, I will. Daniel was a man of courage, because he was a man of convictions. And his faith in God and his courage to live according to his convictions made made his life unshakable. So if there's anything I want you to do today, I want you to be alert. I want you to look at yourself and anything that you can change to make situations better when they come up in your life. And I want you to begin to stand on some godly convictions that will hold you through no matter what the enemy is trying to tell you. When things shake this church, if you've made a conviction like Carolyn, even when you see shakiness, you're like, but wait a minute, I'm convicted to God and his word said to me. And that will make you stand. If you're convicted to your marriage, regardless of any shakiness you see, you will stand on those convictions you made on your wedding day. I have more to say, but the worship team can come. I want to end on a poem. It's my favorite thing. It's called Righteousness on the Curve. And I love how it starts out. This person says, I've been told I deserve so much for the things I've done and for the lives I've touched. I would like to say, my dear friend, what I deserve is a bitter end. For I have hated, I have snapped, people I love, I have slapped, I have lied, I've also cheated. Believe it or not, I have mistreated. I have envied, I have stolen, and many promises I have broken. I've been selfish and I've been greedy. Too many times I have been a bit sneaky. I'm wrong-eyed, wrongfully punished, and wrongfully accused. Plans for my own gain I have spitefully used. I've been so angry, like a sailor I've cursed. To be brutally honest, I've done much worse. I've gotten wasted. I've been a drunk. Oh yes, my life was so full of junk. And even though I knew that it was wrong, all these things I did to belong. If you just met me, you're probably in shock. But in my sinful nature, yes, I sure did walk. Then I met Jesus, and I heard his good news, and how for my sins he was bruised, and how from the beginning his love ran deep, and for my own heart he did weep. And for every wrong that I ever did, he shed his blood, my sins he hid. Now I'm free, accepted, and thoroughly washed, and that mean old devil is surely squashed. Now he can't touch me with a 10-foot pole, for it is written I'm on God's holy scroll. And God says I'm favored and truly blessed, blessed because faith in Jesus I confess, and in my spirit I have been changed, and in his righteousness I'm rearranged. Now this might sound too good to be true, but that's the gospel for me and you. And you still say I should get what I deserve. Well, I thank Jesus for grading on the curve. Amen.